Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we will be discussing, as you can see from the title, we will be talking about FC Barcelona's transfer window as it has gone up until now. The La Liga season begins in just under 3 weeks, and yet Barcelona are still unable to fix many of the deficiencies in the squad. If you guys are new members of the channel, welcome. If you're returning members, welcome back. Algorithm. If you guys are enjoying the things you're seeing, if you want to see more of it, like, comment, subscribe, engage, hype the videos. I can't do this without your help. So if you like what you're seeing, do what's needed. Let's get right back into the video. So those of you who have been watching my videos for a while will know that I am a Barcelona fan. And I try my best to resist making videos on Barcelona on this channel, particularly because when I speak about Barcelona, there's no coherency in my touch. There's no coherency in my speech. There's no calmness or composure involved in many of the things I do or say when I talk about Barcelona. But I have to talk about this transfer window. And excuse me if I look down because I'm looking at my notes. This transfer window from Barcelona, they're embarrassing me in front of all my friends, right? Barcelona right now, they're embarrassing me in front of all of my friends. You know, all your friends, they've come out, they're coming to, see you, they're coming to watch you, they're coming to your game, and you're just embarrassing us. You just embarrassed me in front of all my friends. I came out and I told them about you. I told them that, oh, this guy, you guys need to watch out for him. You need to see him. He's a good player. You're just embarrassing me, man. Bro, this transfer window from Barcelona, I'm sorry, right? Let's take it step by step. All right, let's start off with the incomings. And those are precisely Anthony Gordon, Karim Adeyemi, and I think his name is Bissou. I'm sorry if I'm getting the name wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Bissou, a young player from Belgium, signed from Club Brugge. Doesn't really have much experience at the top level. Has been playing in the youth level game for a while now, but not really experienced in the top level. We've seen these sort of signings from Deco before, signing these young players from obscure nations, obscure teams, in an attempt to try and make a profit, or in the hopes that if they do develop more than you expect, they can be integrated into the first team. Does this signing help us in the here and now? Absolutely not. So I'm not really going to spend too much time discussing this guy. Moving on, you then go on to the two other big signings or bigger signings. Firstly, you start off with Karim Adeyemi. Now, Karim Adeyemi is an interesting signing for me because I feel he can do a lot of things in the fact that he can play on the left, he can play up front, he can play on the right. He's quick. I won't say he's particularly dynamic. He's a pretty one-dimensional player. You know what you're getting with a player like him. He's fast. He gets in behind. His end product is not particularly good, but you know he's going to cause a lot of chaos. You know, he's those sort of players that, oh, I had you guys shook though. You know, I don't know for any of my guys who watch NBA. It's like, yeah, you did this. You ran up and down. You made us do a little bit of cardio. You know, we were scared for a little bit, but at the end of the day, you still lose the game, right? That's literally Karim Adeyemi in my eyes. That's the illustration I have of him. He's that ilk of footballer. Look, think Jeremy Doku a few years ago. You know, he'll make you shimmy. He'll make you scared here and there. He'll have the fans getting up there off their seats. But at the end of the day, he's not going to do anything of note or anything tangible. But coming into this team, we all know how attacking Barcelona are. We all know how many chances they create as a side. So Adeyemi will inevitably get goals and assists. Was it what we needed in the attacking areas? Not at all, especially when you consider that we went out and bought a player like Anthony Gordon who does similar things and is probably a better player. But I think when you're signing a player like Adeyemi for the amount of money that they signed him for, I think it was just around 25-30 million euros. In today's market where any Tom, Dick and Harry goes for 60-70 million, it's not a terrible transfer. And there was a market opportunity for Barcelona and they took it. So I'm not particularly irate about the signing. I don't particularly care about the signing. I think it's decent squad depth. He'll probably be able to fill in different spots here and there, whether there's an injury or a suspension. But I'm just interested to see how he'll play in this team, particularly in situations where Barcelona, a lot of the times Barcelona play games. We play against teams who sit in their own box. And Adeyemi is not one of those players I look at that can break down these low block teams or break down these very compact sides. Yes, on the counterattack. Yes, with space in behind. Maybe against better teams, he might be able to bear fruit. It's similar to Marcus Rashford, where against those teams who sit deep, Marcus Rashford is not the player you want on the field. But when you're playing against teams who give you a bit more space, yes, he's probably a better player. So I'm not, as I said, I'm pretty indifferent about this signing because it doesn't really fix anything Barcelona were struggling with last year. especially when you consider we signed Anthony Gordon, who we'll come on to talk about now. 80 million euros for Anthony Gordon. if I talk about the transfer money or the money in the transfer window nowadays, I think I can sit here for 2.5 hours. It is what it is. Money is ridiculous in football now. Any useless player goes for 20 million. Any average player goes for 40 million. And any decent player goes for 60 million. And God forbid you're a good player who had 1.5 good seasons, you're going for 100 million euros. But Anthony Gordon, judging on what other players in the market are going for, I think signing him early before the World Cup for 80 million was a good thing to do for Barcelona. I mean, if that's the player they thought they needed, then fair enough. I think he's good squad depth for a player like Rafinha. He can also play on the right-hand side. Similar to Adeyemi, as I said, can play across the front line. Fast, incredible presser, and he's a good finisher. When he gets into the right positions, he's very, very, very clinical. I think thing with Anthony Gordon is he's one of those players that I feel like he can definitely improve in a lot of the things that he does on a pitch. Of course, he's not this shiny superstar. He's not this big name in the sport. But I think under a coach like Hansi Flick, we've seen Hansi Flick turn water to wine, bro. We've seen Hansi Flick turn garbage water into wine. We've seen him turn garbage water into blue agave tequila. So I'm not really against the signing again, as I said. I think it's a good signing, especially because Rafinha is starting to come down in his productivity. He's starting to be not as reliable in terms of his physical peak or in terms of his injury record. So I think it's a good signing. I think it offers you something. Of course, the price tag is not what you would expect and not what you would want. Spending 80 million euros on a player like Anthony Gordon, who I don't think is an elite player. And I see 80 million euros as money you spend on genuine world-class players. But maybe that's something I need to tackle myself internally. As I said, decent signing, does a bit of everything, and Hansi Flick asked for him. For me, that's the main thing. I think if Hansi Flick asked for Anthony Gordon himself, fair enough. Hansi, you can have whatever you want, especially in the attacking areas. I've seen this guy turn Serge Gnabry into a Ballon d'Or contender. So I won't be surprised if we see Anthony Gordon hitting a level next season that he never even looked like he could hit at Newcastle. After those signings, Barcelona have done absolutely nothing in this transfer window. Bear in mind, we signed Anthony Gordon in, what was that, late May, I want to say, maybe early June, a signing that we didn't even know about until it was pretty much done. Adeyemi has been in the murmur since about, I want to say, start of July, and that signing was wrapped up pretty quickly. And Bissouma is a signing I don't think anybody knows who this guy is before he came into the club this season or a few days ago. So a lot of these signings, they've been kind of under the radar. And Barcelona this entire summer, the big transfer that Barcelona have been chasing is Julian Alvarez, because Barcelona do not have a striker. I know there's a certain number 7, which we'll come to talk about. Barcelona do not have a striker going into this new season. Robert Lewandowski has officially left the club to go to Chicago. And right now, that number 9 spot is absolutely empty. It is vacant. We do not have somebody who can play in that number 9 position and provide a good amount of goals, a high number of goals to offset the terrible defensive structure that we have. So Barcelona have gone into the market and earmarked Julian Alvarez as their main target for the summer. But if any of you have been even following the news, you'll be able to see that that signing is never going to happen. And this is my biggest pet peeve with Barcelona, because it feels like every time Barcelona want to buy a player, right? Every time Barcelona want to acquire a player to fortify the team and fortify the squad, the minute the player plays in La Liga, it's like there needs to be a civil war. When we wanted to sign Nico Williams, Athletic Bilbao were acting like we were trying to ransack the football club. They were acting as though we were trying to bomb San Mamés. Like, I genuinely could not believe what I was seeing in the media just because Barcelona were looking at signing somebody like Nico Williams, just because they possibly thought they could sign a player. And now Atletico Madrid, you look at it, the entire summer they've made an absolute fool of themselves, posting Fabrizio Romano inspired Twitter posts, making a mockery of Fabrizio, breaking news saying that Barcelona is doing this, Barcelona is doing that. Bear in mind, the entire summer, Julian Alvarez wants to come to Barcelona. Barcelona want the player. Barcelona have sent in bids to Atletico Madrid, and these guys refuse to acknowledge them. Now, you are perfectly within your rights to not want to sell a player. But what I don't understand is, if you're not going to sell the player, then why not just leave it at that? Instead, Atletico Madrid are making this into an entire court case. Barcelona are tapping the player up. Barcelona are doing this. Barcelona is talking to this guy's mom. Barcelona is talking to this guy's dad. Barcelona is climbing over the stadium of the Wanda Metropolitano. It is not a big deal. Teams do this all the time. The player wants to leave. The club wants to buy him. If you don't want to sell him, that's your business. Just reject the offer. These guys haven't even acknowledged the offers that Barcelona have sent this summer. They're not even willing to negotiate with Barcelona, but they're willing to negotiate with Arsenal, who Julian Alvarez doesn't want to go to. Yet, you look in the past, we've given them a David Villa. We've given them a Luis Suarez. We've given them an Antoine Griezmann, even despite the fact that there was a clause in there that meant that they had to pay a certain fee. But then, because Atletico Madrid is such a petty football club, they stopped playing him at certain moments so they wouldn't have to pay the fee. And then we, as a stupid football club we agreed a lower fee to accommodate their foolishness. And this is all in this ploy from Atletico Madrid to act as though they're this big team that can challenge Barcelona, that can challenge Real Madrid consistently. They need to just accept they're the third dog in this table. They just need to accept that they're the third wheel in this relationship. Stop trying to act like you're on the same level, like you're eating from the same plate, like you're dining at the same table as Real Madrid and Barcelona. You're not. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you want to do, no matter how many players you want to sign, no matter how much money you want to spend, call Barcelona as broke as you want. Atletico Madrid and Barcelona are not in the same stratosphere. The player wants to leave the club. Let him go. And if you don't want to let him go, reject the offer and leave it there. Now they're trying to make it seem like this whole smear campaign, like it's this whole Barcelona are trying to do this, Barcelona are trying to do that, just making the situation much bigger than it really needs to be. And then you have to look at Laporta and Deco in this situation. The player has done everything he can. Julian Alvarez is not the type of personality that's going to go on strike, is going to boycott the football club just so he gets his move. He's not going to do that. And even if he does do that, which we've seen many teams do or many players do in the past, Atletico Madrid will probably go to the courts of arbitration of sports because Barcelona is quote unquote tapping up their player. This is not the first time a team has done this. Alex Baena, Atletico Madrid did this to Villarreal. When they wanted Baena stopped playing for the team just so Atletico Madrid could buy him. I don't understand it, man. I really don't. And I'm not even saying this because I'm so fond of Julian Alvarez and I desperately want him in the team. But I just don't understand this whole narrative or this whole trend where the minute Barcelona is trying to sign a player from any La Liga team, this team must go in raptures. They must throw all their toys out of the pram just because Barcelona is committing the crime of wanting to buy a football player. Come on. Come on. Barcelona needs to stop chasing that deal. That deal is not going to happen. In my opinion, we should try and look for an alternative. Unfortunately, with the amount of time that they've wasted on that deal, we're not going to get him. Now, the best alternative is probably a player that's not as good as him, a player that's much older than him, and a player that's not going to be in the squad for as long as Julian Alvarez would have been if we were to sign him. But in my opinion, just go out and get a stopgap. Get somebody that can fit into the squad just for a brief moment, maybe a year or two, and then reassess the market in a year or two. Maybe you can find that superstar player that you're looking for. Because what Barcelona cannot do, and I assure you this, Barcelona cannot go into next season without a striker. Barcelona cannot go into next season with number 7 as our starting number 9. I promise you I will not watch any of those games. I promise you I will not watch any of those games if Ferran Torres is our starting number 9 next season. You will not see me there. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. And that's when you then move on to number 7 himself. There's this whole back and forth. He's in the last year of his contract. He doesn't want to leave the football club. And now he's looking at leaving the football club. And might I just add, right? Ferran Torres has been an absolute average footballer for Barcelona for the last, 5 years now? 4 or 5 years? Let me just make this straight. The guy's been bang average for 4 to 5 years now. For the last 4 to 5 years at this football club. The guy has demanded he's not going to leave the football club. Every summer we've tried to let him go. Anytime Premier League teams have come in, anytime Saudi teams have expressed an interest, he always tells the club, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave. And the club too, they just sit there and watch him. Okay, you don't have to leave, Ferran. You can stay. You're friends with Pedri. You guys are best friends. You guys can stay. That's all fine. We're all happy. It's sunny in Catalonia. Now the guy's coming to the last year of his contract, and now he scored a goal in a World Cup final, and now he thinks he's a better player than he actually is. Right? Coming out in the report saying he feels like he wasn't trusted by Hansi Flick last season. He felt like the number 9 position was up for grabs and he never really felt that confidence in him. I don't really know what the guy's talking about because he showed many times last season that he did not have the ability to play in those sort of games. Whether it was Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, whether it was Chelsea in the Champions League, whether it was Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey, PSG, I could name game upon game where Ferran Torres is missing chance upon chance upon chance. The guy went 12 games last season without scoring a goal, and he wants to be the starting striker of Barcelona. Somebody please make it make sense to me. I beg of you, make it make sense to me. Please. Please. This guy is not a serious footballer. He's a good player. He's a good player. That's it. Bench player, off the bench. Rotational number 9. That is all he is. This guy believes he should be the starter. And as I said, this is my problem. You went 4 or 5 years Barcelona. You never tried to push him out. You never applied pressure on the player. You never made it clear to him that he is surplus to demands. And now he has all the power because he's in the final year of his contract. And now Barcelona is running in circles trying to give this average player a new contract, making it seem like he's this irresistible, irreplaceable football. He's not. I guarantee you he's not. You could go to the Premier League and find 10 players just like Ferran Torres, if not better. You can go to the Premier League and find 25, 30 players just like Ferran Torres, if not better. They're saying he wants to go to PSG. They're saying he's linked with Arsenal. Let them take him. Because I don't know Arteta's obsession with buying players who are good, but they're not good. Kai Havertz, Ferran Torres, Victor Gyökeres, players who people will convince you that they're good, but then you watch them and you're like, are we watching the same sport? Genuinely, are we watching the same sport? But they always have those brief moments that kind of tell you, okay, maybe they are good. But guys, let's be honest. They're an okay player, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But what Barcelona must not do this summer is allow Ferran Torres to dictate what happens. It's either you sell him for a good fee or you sign him on a new contract. But what cannot happen is Ferran Torres is our main number 9 going into next season. It cannot happen. It cannot. That cannot happen. Then you move on to the outgoings, or supposed, or not even happened. Like none of these, bro. The outgoings have not happened. We have not made any money this summer from players leaving the club. You look around Europe, some of the fees I'm seeing these big teams getting for their academy players, for their squad players, for players who have made absolutely zero impact at these football clubs. I seen Kolo Muani going to Juventus for 45 million euros. Guys, Kolo Muani is a bang average footballer. Bang average footballer. It's genuinely laughable. It is laughable. I'm seeing Gonzalo Garcia, a player who scored 6 goals last season, going for 40 million euros. And Real Madrid still have a 30% sell-on clause. 40 million euros to Fulham. What has Barcelona done? I'm pretty sure we loaned Ansu Fati, or we sold Ansu Fati for about 5 million euros, 10 million euros. No matter what you think of Ansu Fati, the guy is still 23 years old. Had a decent season last year at Monaco. I think he scored about 10, 15 goals. We sold him for 10 million euros. So Margui for 6 million euros. It's an absolute joke. It's a joke. Casado is still lingering at the camp now. Not even saying this because Casado is a bad player, but one thing Barcelona have made an absolute pig's ear of doing is not selling a player when they're at their peak market level, especially when you know long term this is not a player that's going to be of use at the football club. Marc Casado gave us that brief season, those brief 6 months. That was the time to sell. And Barcelona did not sell. And now you're hearing murmurs, oh, Casado is going to go for 25, 30 million. Casado should be going for about 50 million euros. That is the price Marc Casado should be going for. But Barcelona will not get that much money for him. Why? Because we don't know how to sell. We don't know how to sell. Players like Ronald Araujo are still at my football club. I don't know how many years we need to watch Ronald Araujo before we actually realize this guy is not a good player. I've already realized this. I've known Ronald Araujo is not a good player since about 2023, 2022 maybe even. But Barcelona are still convinced that this guy is the man that's going to take us back to the top. He's still one of the 4 captains. Why? I have no idea. Andreas Christensen is still at the football club. If you forgot he was still playing football, I wouldn't be surprised, because I also forgot for a brief moment with the injuries this man has suffered and just lack of visibility he's had in the public eye for about the last 2 years. But they're saying there's background reasons for that. When Olmo was being registered, Christensen kind of sacrificed and just sat on the sidelines for a few months so that Olmo could kind of just play. The fact that was even something that had to happen just shows you the state of the mismanagement of this football club, whether it's with Laporta or with the prior management in Bartomeu. But my goodness, even Rooney Bardghji still at the club. Rooney Bardghji, what is he going to do next season? He's going to have another season where he sits behind Lamine Yamal the entire season. Hector Fort, is he coming back to the football club? Xavi Espart, Alex Valle. You look at so many of these players, and these are players who go out on loan. And then when they go out on loan and they show good glimpses, good ideas, good emotions, good levels, we then sell them for 5 million euros, 2 million euros. Like, what are we talking about? Pablo Torre, a decent level La Liga player. I'm pretty sure we sold him for about 6 million euros. This club doesn't know how to sell. This club doesn't know how to sell. And our mates are out there making bank off of average footballers. Average footballers. And then you look at some of the players that we're still linked with. And Barcelona is still... This is the thing. I think this is the thing. I'm going to finish off with this point here. The thing that annoys me the most about Barcelona's transfer window is there are very, 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 very clear areas of this team that needs improving. I'm talking right back. I'm talking left back. I'm talking central defensive areas. I'm looking at the wing areas, particularly on the right-hand side now that you've signed Gordon. And we need a striker. So in total, you're looking about 6 different positions that need to be signed. Barcelona have addressed none of them because the signing of Anthony Gordon is pretty much Marcus Rashford out, Anthony Gordon in. So you haven't really changed anything in the squad in that aspect. Adeyemi, for me, is just another piece in the squad. He doesn't really do anything in terms of fitting a particular role, fitting a particular position. He just gives you another joker card you can kind of play around with. Cool. Where is my left back? We've been linked with Grimaldo. We've been linked with Cucurella. Grimaldo is going to Atletico Madrid. Cucurella is going to... Grimaldo is going to Atletico Madrid. Cucurella is going to Real Madrid. And we're here with who? Alejandro Balde, who's suffering from papalgia. And we don't have a backup left back. Our backup left back is Gerard Martin, who is masquerading as a center back. I love Gerard Martin. I love the ability he's shown to develop and really rinse out the talent in his... all the talent in his body, because that guy's not a talented footballer, right? Let's just get it right. He's been able to rinse out the talents. He's been able to adapt to play that left center back position that he did last season. And he did it to a respectable level based on the talent that he has. But Gerard Martin cannot be my starting center back in the Champions League quarterfinal. I'm sorry. I am sorry. If you are a team that is looking to win the Champions League, you cannot have Gerard Martin playing as their central center back, at least in today's day and age. Maybe he might develop to get to that level, but not now. I'm sorry. Eric Garcia, the like, Ronald Araujo, Christensen, these guys are not good enough. Eric Garcia is another player who should not be starting games of football at the highest level. He can be a rotational piece. He can come into the squad here and there. He can add a bit of physique when you need it in moments of vulnerability, but he should not be starting games. God forbid he's starting games next to Pedri in the midfield as he did in the Champions League quarterfinal. That should never be happening. That should never be happening. And Barcelona continue to let it happen. Barcelona continue to let these meddling average players. They have one brilliant moment. They have a few good games. And then Barcelona forgets everything that led us to the moment that we are in now. The Champions League defeats. The poor performances away from home. The damaging eliminations from the Champions League. How many times do we need to see these stories before we wake up? How many times? I have not even seen us being linked with a single right back all season. Or all transfer window long. Of course, we've been linked with Cancelo. That signing hasn't even still been done. Despite how easy that signing is. It's a player who's 30 plus, plays in Saudi Arabia, wants to come to the club, has made it very clear he only wants Barcelona, and we're friends with George Mendes. So what is the holdup with that signing? He's been gone out of the World Cup since about early June. So you can't even say we had to wait for the World Cup. He's been home for a few weeks now. So what's the plan? He's not reported to Al Hilal training. He doesn't want to go back to Al Hilal. The relationship there is completely severed. So what's Barcelona's plan? As I said, we have not been linked to a single right back all year. We've not been linked to... Is the plan to go with Jules Koundé again at right back after the performances he showed us for the last 18 months? My goodness. I genuinely have no words. I genuinely have no words. And that's before you even move to the striker talk. We talked about it. Julian Alvarez, Ferran Torres, no links to any other striker. Aslani, could he have gone for him? He's gone to Leipzig. Eli Krupi Jr., they're saying they want 130 million euros. You can keep him, man. And as for central defense, we were linked with Bastoni. We were linked with, Christian Romero. We were linked with the likes of, I think we were linked with Vardio a few months ago. We've been linked with center backs the whole summer. We've been linked with center backs. Who have we signed? None. And it doesn't look like we're going to sign any because Christian Romero's already looks like he's going to Inter Milan. Vardio signed a new deal. And the Bastoni links lasted all of 3 weeks. They were saying Hansi Flick didn't want him. Hey, man. I don't know. But last point, sorry. I said the last point would be the last point, but this is actually the last point. And it kind of ties into the point I just made about just being linked with all these players and not actually making a move. The person I feel the most for is Hansi Flick. And last season, I said it when we got eliminated from the Champions League. Last season, I said it whenever there were moments that this team was struggling. I cannot blame Hansi Flick for anything that this team does. I cannot. Yes, of course, there will be situations where it's very, very obvious that Hansi Flick is the reason why we lost a game or we got eliminated, say the 4-0 against Atletico Madrid last season. But when you look at the squad that this team and this management is building for this man, and I know he said he wanted Gordon. I know he said he wanted Adeyemi. But it doesn't feel like those are even players that he told them, I need this player. It feels more like players that Barcelona looked at and said, what do you think about these players? And he said, yeah, I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind it. Because where are the defenders? Where are the midfield reinforcements? Frankie de Jong is out for 6 months. Well, that's what it's saying. The reports are here and there, but Frankie de Jong is not fit, and he probably won't be fit till the new year. So what's the plan with that? You're just going to roll out with Gavi and Bernal again? Gavi, who's shown himself to be injury prone for the last 3 years? So what happens when he goes down? Marc Bernal is at 19, 18 years old. So it's just going to be Bernal and Pedri in rotation. Or no, we'll just bring up Eric Garcia to play CDM like we've been doing for the last 2 seasons. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. We still don't have a striker. Robert Lewandowski scored almost 120 goals in his 3-4 seasons at the club. Do they think that we don't need to replace that? Is that what they think? Hansi Flick has worked miracles with this squad. He's only had 2 real signings to his first team squad, being Dani Olmo and Joan Garcia. And he's worked miracles. He's won 5 trophies in 2 seasons. Probably could have won 6 if we had a bigger squad. And this is all they're giving him? A manager who doesn't complain, a manager who's very, very honest, a manager who has developed so many players, trusted in the youth, preserved the culture, brought entertaining football back to the club, preserved the standards at the football club, and brought us back to a respectable level. And you're not going to back him? And it can't be a case if we don't have money, because we spent 80 million euros on Anthony Gordon. And we're going around telling Atletico we'll pay you 120 million for Julian Alvarez. So there's money. So what's the problem? I don't know, man. I don't get it. I really don't. Barcelona, you guys need to wake up. You guys need to wake up. Hansi Flick, I'm wishing you all the best for the season ahead, because my goodness, you are being given a stick to go and fight in a sword fight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know all your thoughts and comments down in the comment section down below. What do you think about this transfer window from Barcelona? My head is on Mars. Genuinely. We need number 6. Lamine Yamal cannot do it on his own. We need to build a squad around him. You need to give Hansi Flick a squad that's competent enough to compete. But as I said, let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. As always, goodbye.